Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. The Warriors are interested in making deals with the Lakers, and for that to happen, they'll need to involve several players. A duo with Curry and LeBron James will scare the West, and with Dalton Netsch coming off the bench, it will increase the Warriors' options to revive their dynasty. Seeing Stephen Curry and LeBron James together is very exciting. Moving to the Bay Area and joining another established star wouldn't be that difficult for James. He would stay in the West and finally have the opportunity to team up with Steph Curry. Having these two future Hall of Famers on the court together, as we saw at the 2024 Summer Olympics, could be a real treat. Considering James' salary, a deal would seem a bit complicated for most teams. One would assume Bronny James would be involved in the trade, moving to wherever his father goes. A possible trade idea for both teams. Lakers receive Jimmy Butler, Tracy Jackson-Davis, future first-round pick. Warriors receive LeBron James, Bronny James, Dalton Connect. The Golden State Warriors' long-standing interest in LeBron James resurfaced this week after a report suggested the franchise has maintained contact with the Los Angeles Lakers about the superstar. But any speculation was quickly tempered by another league insider, underscoring the uncertainty surrounding James' future in Los Angeles. Underscore 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 underscore. NBA insider Jake Fisher reported on the Steinline newsletter on August 22 that Golden State has checked in with the Lakers multiple times over the past 18 months regarding James. Fisher wrote that as long as LeBron James' future in Los Angeles remains uncertain, Golden State will undoubtedly be mentioned as a potential James suitor. Clutch Points insider Brett Siegel quickly offered a blunt clarification on X. This has been the case since their hard push before the 24 deadline. They then checked in at the start of this offseason, and then again after the player option. Nothing has changed, and the Lakers aren't interested. The differing reports highlight the delicate balance between a team actively pursuing an all-time great and the Lakers' steadfast desire to keep him in Los Angeles. The Warriors' pursuit, which dates back to the 2024 trade deadline, stalled after James' longtime agent, Rich Paul, expressed caution over any move that might generate negative public reaction. According to veteran reporter Mark Stein, Paul urged both sides to scrap trade discussions, largely to protect James from potential backlash over changing teams for the fourth time in his career. James' uncertain future and potential fit. James, 39, picked up his $52.6 million player option earlier this summer, securing his place with the Lakers for the 2025-26 season. Paul's public comments reignited questions about his long-term outlook. Paul told ESPN that James wants to compete for a championship and that both sides were evaluating what's best at this stage in his life and career. Although no trade request has been made, the Lakers have shifted their focus to Luka Doncic, who recently signed a 3-year, $165 million extension, signaling a clear pivot toward Doncic as the franchise centerpiece. James now enters the final year of his contract without extension talks, emphasizing a transitional period for the Lakers. If a trade were ever considered, Golden State would be one of the few feasible destinations. The Athletic's Fred Katz noted that Jimmy Butler could provide the cleanest salary match in a one-for-one swap, although such a deal would hardcap the Lakers at the first apron. Including a third team could provide additional flexibility, with Golden State leveraging draft picks and cap room to make a trade work financially. Olympic chemistry sparks speculation. The intrigue deepened after James and Warriors star Stephen Curry paired on Team USA at the 2024 Paris Olympics, capturing gold. James frequently set up Curry for open three-pointers, demonstrating the on-court chemistry fans have long envisioned. All the battles we've had, the fact that we actually got to be teammates, in high-stakes basketball. I think there's a deepened respect and friendship there, Curry told People magazine in September 2024. He added, hopefully, there will be more experiences in the future, even if we're teammates or not. While a trade remains unlikely, Warriors fans can imagine a late-career collaboration combining Curry's shooting, James' playmaking, and championship experience. Though improbable, the speculation highlights the unique circumstances surrounding the twilight of James' storied NBA career. Golden State Warriors could sign Al Horford for more than the mid-level exception. Al Horford has been linked with a move to the Golden State Warriors all summer. However, the current stalemate with Jonathan Kuminga has slowed down negotiations, with the Warriors front office appearing to want a resolution in their talks with the former lottery pick before pressing ahead with other business. The most likely reason for Golden State's reluctance to sign anyone before securing a deal with Kuminga is that they want to see what their cap situation looks like after a deal is reached, so that they can manage their books while adding some new faces. Unfortunately for the Warriors, that approach has led them deep into the offseason with no new additions walking through the door. Horford and De'Anthony Melton are both reportedly waiting in the wings, ready to sign new contracts once Golden State is ready to make that happen. According to Jake Fisher, Horford may also sign a contract worth more than the $5.7 million mid-level exception this summer, which would be a larger salary than many expected for the 39-year-old veteran. Al Horford's situation is a bit different because, depending on where the Warriors land in a cap tax situation, I believe he could make upwards of the full taxpayer mid-level, $5.7 million, exception, Fisher said via recent livestream of Bleacher Report's Insider's Notebook on August 20th. There's also discussion of a potential 2-year deal with a player option, which would be beneficial for Horford, who was considering retirement following Boston Celtics' championship run in 2024. Horford has been a core part of the Boston Celtics rotation in recent years, helping them win a championship in 2024. He's also adjusted his game to become more perimeter-based as he's gotten deeper into his 30s. Last season, 5.2 of his 7.7 shot attempts per game came from behind the arc, where he drained 36.3%, a slight dip from his 41.9% three-point shooting the season before, and 44.6% in 2022-23. The Warriors will undoubtedly be excited about potentially adding Horford to the rotation. He's a smart defender who uses angles to negate his waning athleticism. He's capable of guarding in space, is versatile enough to switch between multiple positions, and can space the floor, make quick reads, and all while working within the confines of a system. As such, it's no surprise Golden State would be willing to go above the MLE to secure Horford's services. However, nothing can be finalized until Mike Dunleavy Jr. and Joe Lacob find a conclusion for Kuminga's current contractual standoff. Jonathan Kuminga reportedly pushes for his conditions, but Warriors resist to keep key players. Young star Jonathan Kuminga reportedly tries to impose his conditions, but the Golden State Warriors refuse as they look to avoid setbacks ahead of the upcoming NBA season. The start of the NBA season is approaching quickly, and teams are finalizing their last moves before opening night. One franchise still dealing with serious complications is the Golden State Warriors, who remain entangled in an ongoing standoff with forward Jonathan Kuminga that has yet to reach a resolution. NBA insider Jake Fisher reported that the Warriors are discouraging sign-and-trade proposals because none of the offers have met Golden State's standards. Fisher added that Kuminga's only recourse at this stage might be accepting his one-year, $8 million qualifying offer, which expires October 1st. He also noted that Kuminga has rejected the Warriors' 2-year, $45 million offer out of concern that Golden State would simply trade him before the February deadline. This matters because if Kuminga accepts the qualifying offer, he would become an unrestricted free agent next summer, leaving the Warriors at risk of losing him for nothing. Golden State appears unwilling to consider sign-and-trade proposals, believing the forward is holding out to pressure them into making a move. If no deal comes, the expectation is that Kuminga will ultimately accept the 2-year contract. The Warriors' hesitation centers on roster concerns. Fisher reiterated that Golden State doesn't want to lose Buddy Hield or Moses Moody as part of a sign-and-trade arrangement, particularly for salary purposes. Their goal remains surrounding Steph Curry with reliable perimeter shooting. That doesn't mean Kuminga's situation is resolved. While he could accept Golden State's current offer, it seems just as likely, if not more, That he bets on himself and plays the 2025-26 season under the $8 million qualifying deal. Golden State might benefit from revisiting talks with the Sacramento Kings, who reportedly offered a protected 2030 first-round pick and Malik Monk, according to Sam Amick of The Athletic. The Warriors, however, pushed back, demanding an unprotected pick. Turning down that type of offer could come back to haunt them later. For now, the Warriors remain in a holding pattern this NBA offseason. They have yet to make significant moves, with names like Al Horford and Seth Curry only circling the rumor mill. None of those possibilities are likely to move forward until Golden State finally settles the Kuminga situation. Patrick Beverley claims Warriors could have won more titles with Paul George instead of Klay Thompson. Patrick Beverley claims Warriors would win more titles with Paul George over Klay Thompson. Patrick Beverley has never been shy about stirring debate, and his latest comments are no exception. On his podcast, the veteran guard claimed the Golden State Warriors might have won more championships if they had Paul George in Klay Thompson's role. If you put Paul George in that role as Klay Thompson, playing with Steph, Draymond Green, Iguodala at a point, obviously we know Paul George. But we know Paul George was, a couple years ago, he was in the MVP race. If you substitute them too, right, I think, and we don't know, but we're just going off what we think in basketball, I think that Golden State probably wins more championships. Michael Porter Jr. clears major misconception on Nikola Jokic, compares his work ethic to LeBron James. Michael Porter Jr. clears major misconception on Nikola Jokic, compares his work ethic to LeBron James. Read more. At his best, George was undeniably one of the best two-way wings in the NBA. A 9-time All-Star, he finished third in MVP voting in 2019 after averaging 28.0 points, 8.2 rebounds, and 4.1 assists with the Oklahoma City Thunder. He also has 6 All-NBA selections, along with 4 All-Defensive honors, and is one of the smoothest shot creators of his generation. From a pure talent standpoint, Beverley isn't wrong. George brings more on-ball creation than Thompson ever has. He can generate his own shot, playmake for teammates, and still knock down threes at a high clip. In theory, plugging that skill set next to Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Andre Iguodala would give Golden State an even more dangerous offensive attack while maintaining elite perimeter defense. Thompson may not have George's MVP caliber resume, but he was the perfect fit for the Warriors system. A 5-time All-Star and 2-time All-NBA guard, Thompson's shooting and off-ball movement unlocked the Warriors' motion offense in ways few players in history could replicate. He wasn't just a floor spacer, he was an all-time great shooter who could catch fire and swing playoff games on his own. His 37-point quarter in 2015, his 11 threes in Game 6 against Oklahoma City in 2016, and countless other playoff explosions are etched in NBA lore. Thompson was also an excellent perimeter defender before injuries slowed him down, guarding multiple positions and allowing Curry to conserve energy on defense. Most importantly, Thompson's willingness to embrace a secondary role allowed the Warriors' ecosystem to thrive. Unlike George, who has always been a high-usage scorer, Klay didn't need the ball in his hands to make an impact. That sacrifice, paired with Curry's unselfishness and Draymond's playmaking, was the secret sauce that made Golden State nearly unbeatable. It's also worth noting that both George and Thompson have had major health setbacks. Thompson missed 2 full seasons with ACL and Achilles injuries, while George has endured his own share of surgeries and missed time. Swapping one for the other doesn't guarantee more durability. Beverley's take highlights the eternal talent versus fit debate. Yes, Paul George at his best was the more complete player. But Klay Thompson's skill set, mentality, and chemistry with Curry and Draymond Green were tailor-made for Golden State's dynasty. Without him, it's hard to imagine the Warriors' 4 championships from 2015 to 2022 playing out the same way. Warriors now have trade target that even Giannis Antetokounmpo won't prevent. They should do this even if it takes them out of the Giannis sweepstakes. The Golden State Warriors have long had a dream of pairing Giannis Antetokounmpo with Stephen Curry, so much so that it might have actually prevented them from making other smaller deals just to ensure they retain flexibility should the 2x MVP eventually request a trade from the Milwaukee Bucks. Yet not even the possibility of acquiring Antetokounmpo should prevent the Warriors from continuing to pursue their latest trade target, with the franchise linked to a big move for New Orleans Pelicans wing Trey Murphy III on Friday. Warriors should target Trey Murphy III even if it ends their Giannis dream. According to NBA insider Jake Fisher of the Stein Line, Golden State and the San Antonio Spurs have shown trade interest in Murphy, who's about to start a 4-year, $112 million extension. Sources say that the Warriors have a strong affinity for Murphy and have made outreach to New Orleans as recently as this summer. Yet sources say that the Pelicans, to be clear, have batted away calls for the 25-year-old, valuing him highly, Fisher wrote. As Fisher goes on to outline, there's no surprise as to why the Warriors would have significant interest in Murphy. He might not be the same stature player as Antetokounmpo, but his seamless fit as a 6 feet 8 inches shooter and scorer makes him a similarly dream trade target. Murphy took another major step forward in his 4th year, averaging 21.2 points and 5.1 rebounds in 35 minutes per game while shooting an efficient 45.4% from the floor and 36.1% from three-point range. It may have been his increased playmaking that would be most tantalizing though, particularly for a team like the Warriors who prioritize ball and player movement. Murphy has gone from 0.6 to 1.4, 2.2 and 3.5 assists per game across his career, suggesting he's far more than just a high-level 3 and D wing. Add in the fact that Murphy is just 25 years old, and you can understand why Golden State might be willing to include the multiple future first-round picks that they're currently protective of given the advanced ages of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. Convincing the Pelicans to relinquish Murphy is going to take an incredibly steep price. It would be Golden State's big swing, leaving little room for any other significant move for the foreseeable future. Sure, adding 6x All-Star Jimmy Butler in February was a huge deal, but they didn't pay a huge price from a trade perspective given just how bad things had got between the 35-year-old and the Miami Heat. The Warriors have often preached patience and don't want to simply make a trade if it prevents them from making another bigger move, but in this instance Murphy's combination of age and skill set makes him the perfect target even if they have to give up the draft capital that would ultimately take them out of any potential Antetokounmpo discussion in the future.